The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, is a regional economic forum established to promote free trade and economic cooperation throughout the Asia-Pacific region. It all began in 1989 in Canberra, Australia. APEC started as an informal ministerial-level dialogue among 12 founding members: Australia, Brunei Darussalam, Canada, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and the United States. Just a year later, in 1990, APEC ministers met again, this time in Singapore, laying the groundwork to expand the group's membership. By the year 1991, during the third ministerial meeting held in Seoul, Korea, three new economies joined the forum: the People's Republic of China, Hong Kong, China, and Chinese Taipei. In 1992, APEC ministers gathered once again, this time in Bangkok, Thailand, for their fourth ministerial meeting, continuing to build momentum for regional cooperation. The following year, 1993, marked a turning point. For the first time, APEC economic leaders came together in a historic meeting on Blake Island in the United States. There, they set out a bold and unified vision for the region, one of stability, security, and prosperity for our peoples. That same year, APEC welcomed two new members, Mexico and Papua New Guinea, further expanding the forum's reach. In 1994, the focus shifted to Bogor, Indonesia, where APEC adopted what would become one of its most defining commitments: to Bogor Goals. These goals aim for free and open trade and investments across the Asia-Pacific by 2010 for industrialized economies and by 2020 for developing ones. That year also saw the successful conclusion of the Uruguay round of global trade and negotiations under the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, or GATT. APEC played a key role in pushing that process forward. And finally, in 1994, Chile became the latest economy to join the growing APEC community. In 1995, APEC met in Osaka, Japan, and adopted the Osaka Action Agenda, laying out how to achieve the Bogor goals through trade liberalization, business facilitation, and cooperation. That year also saw the launch of the APEC Business Advisory Council, bringing the private sector into the conversation. In 1996, leaders gathered in Manila, Philippines, and adopted the Manila Action Plan, detailing steps each economy would take toward free trade. For the first time, collective and individual action plans were compiled, and in year 1997 in Vancouver, Canada, APEC agreed to pursue early voluntary liberalization in 15 key sectors and decided that individual action plans would now be updated every year. In 2000, APEC met in Bandar Seri Begawan, Brunei, and launched the action agenda for the new economy. Leaders set ambitious goals to triple internet access across the region by 2005 and achieve universal access by 2010. In year 2001 in Shanghai, China, APEC responded to global events with its first statement on counterterrorism, pledging stronger cooperation. Leaders also adopted the Shanghai Accord, refining the roadmap to the Bogor goals and embracing the digital economy. That year, the e-APEC strategy was endorsed, setting clear goals for a connected and competitive Asia-Pacific. In 2002, APEC leaders met in Los Cabos, Mexico, and adopted a trade facilitation action plan along with new policies linking trade and the digital economy. The STAR initiative, Secure Trade in the APEC region, was launched and members endorsed transparency standards across the forum. In 2003, in Bangkok, Thailand, APEC responded to the SARS outbreak with an action plan and health security initiative. Leaders also committed to strengthening financial systems and developing regional bond markets to support long-term growth. In 2004, APEC met in Santiago, Chile, and adopted best practices for regional and free trade agreements. Leaders launched the LAISR agenda targeting key areas like regulatory reform and governance and endorsed the Santiago commitment to fight corruption and promote transparency. And in year 2005 in Busan, Korea, APEC completed its mid-term review of the Bogor goals. The findings showed strong progress, average tariffs and had dropped from 16.9% in 1989 to just 5.5%. Leaders also introduced the Busan Roadmap and launched the APEC Privacy Framework. In 2006, APEC leaders met in Hanoi, Vietnam, and endorsed the Hanoi Action Plan, setting clear steps toward the Bogor goals. They confirmed that trade transaction costs had already dropped by 5% between 2002 and 2006. APEC also began reforming its structure and strengthening its secretariat. In 2007 in Sydney, Australia, APEC issued its first declaration on climate change, energy security, and clean development, committing to practical, cooperative action. Leaders also backed deeper regional economic integration and launched a second trade facilitation action plan aiming to cut trade costs by another 5% by 2010. In 2008, APEC leaders met in Lima, Peru, amid the global financial crisis. Through the Lima statements, they committed to restoring stability, rejecting protectionism, and pushing forward WTO negotiations. The focus also shifted to inclusive trade, social responsibility, and narrowing development gaps. Leaders welcomed a new investment facilitations action plan to improve the regional investment climate. In year 2009 in Singapore, APEC pledged to pursue balanced, inclusive, and sustainable growth. Leaders extended the standstill and protectionist measure and held joint trade and finance meeting for the first time. New initiatives were launched including the Supply Chain Connectivity Framework and the Ease of Doing Business Action Plan, aiming aiming to cut business costs by 25% by 2015. In 2012 at Vladivostok, Russia, APEC leaders endorsed a list of environmental goods aimed at supporting green growth and sustainable development. They also tackled transparency in trade, adopting a model chapter to guide regional trade agreements. In 2013, in Bali, Indonesia, leaders reaffirmed their commitment to the rules-based multilateral trading system and the successful outcome of the Doha round. They launched a multi-year plan for infrastructure development, including creating a public-private partnership center in Indonesia. To boost people-to-people ties, APEC set a goal of 1 million intra-APEC university students exchanging annually by 2020. That year also saw the first joint ministerial meeting on women and SMEs promoting women's entrepreneurship across the region. In 2014, APEC leaders gathered in Beijing, China, and took a major step toward deeper regional economic integration by endorsing a roadmap to make the Free Trade Area of the Asia Pacific, or FTAAP, a reality. They launched the first ever APEC Connectivity Blueprint, aiming to enhance physical, institutional, and people-to-people links across the region by 2025. To drive higher value-added growth, leaders adopted the APEC Accord and innovative development focusing on innovation, human resource development, and sustainability. Recognizing the importance of clean energy, APEC economies committed to doubling the share of renewables in the region energy mix by 2030. In 2015 at Manila, Philippines, APEC leaders focused on building more inclusive economies, aiming to ensure economic growth benefits more people across society. Recognizing global uncertainties and uneven growth, they agreed on policies to support micro, small, and medium enterprises, develop human capital, and strengthen resilient, sustainable communities. Leaders also endorsed quality growth and launched a network to boost services cooperation, acknowledging the sector's vital role in the region's economy. In 2020, amid the global COVID-19 pandemic, APEC leaders met virtually for the first time, united in their commitment to protect lives, maintain trade and investment flows, and ensure equitable access to vaccines and medical supplies. They launched the La Serena, La Serena Roadmap for Women and Inclusive Growth and, unveiled the Putrajaya Vision 2040 for resilient, open, and peaceful Asia-Pacific community. In 2021, during another fully virtual year, APEC leaders met twice to tackle ongoing health and economic crises. They advanced vaccine trade, addressed climate change, and introduced the Aotearoa Plan of Action, setting the course for trade and economic growth over the coming decades under the Putrajaya Vision 2040. In 2022, as the region began reopening, APEC met in Bangkok. The first in-person gathering since 2020, leaders endorsed the Bangkok goals on the biocircular green economy, committing to an inclusive and sustainable recovery that directly confronts climate and environmental challenges. In year 2023 at the San Francisco Summit marking 30 years since the US first hosted APEC leaders, members renewed their dedication to sustainable, inclusive policies addressing the region's toughest economic challenges. The Golden Gate Declaration of San Francisco Principles emphasized resiliency, sustainability, innovation, and inclusion. Leaders also agreed on key initiatives for energy transition, food security, and disaster risk reduction.